Welcome back. So now we tested a simple class in our testing framework right here. The next thing I want to test is I'm going to do test-driven development for an interface. Now, in order to do interface, we need to do things a little bit different than what we just did with the class. We need to actually use something called a mock framework. A mock framework is a way for us to, instead of having to actually make real classes, we will fake them. So again, remember, interfaces cannot be instantiated, meaning you cannot make a new keyword for an interface. Let me show you an example right here. I'll just stay in this test just to show you. You would not be able to, for instance, make a new iClonable interface right here, or a new iClonable class right here. It's not possible because iClonable is actually an interface, right? So that's not possible. So we cannot just make a new keyword like we could with a product, for instance, right here. I know that's basic, but it's important to understand that because that's the reason why we need the mocks. What you would have to do was you would have to kind of make a new class right here, and that class would then be an iClonable like this, and then you would import the different fields in order to make that iClonable actually work like this. So what we want to do with the mocks is we don't want to have to do and create fake classes in our code. We actually don't want to do that. We want to just use the interfaces as they are, and then behind the scenes we can now start cheating the system so it thinks that it's going to call a method, but in reality it calls kind of a fake method, a mock method that it's using instead behind the scenes. I know that's crazy and hard to understand, but I'm going to try and show you how we can use this now. So what we're going to do for our test framework right here is we're going to go in and manage NuGet packages because I want to be able to start using these mock frameworks right here. And there's actually one framework I like the most, which is called MOQ Mock. So I'm going to add this framework right here to my setup. It's again called MOQ right here, Mock. Let's just add it. Now you can see the name. So just go and get that framework if you want to. It's a very cool framework to start mocking your actual system right here. Now that I have mock available, let's try and do a new test. We're going to make a test this time that's actually going to try and prove for us that we need an interface for our product service. So that's what we're going to try and do. And let's start again by making a test class for it. So I'll go down and add a new class right here, and we're going to call it iProductService interface. And again, this might be overkill to make tests for these interfaces, but I don't think it's a bad idea, especially when you start learning about unit testing, to go all the way and make everything you do test driven. So I have an iProductService test right here. Let's just add that class. There we go. I'll add a fact right away because we need to test something. And the first test I want to do is just going to be a simple is available like this. That's the first test I want to do, just that I can do an iProductService and to show you guys what mocking is all about. Oh my God, that was a lot of wrong buttons. So now that we have our first fact available right here, what we're going to try and do is we're going to say to the system that I want to end up actually creating an iProductService right here. And the iProductService, let's just call it service for now. Since I don't have a new class called iProductService again, I can't instantiate an interface, right? I'm going to make a new mock instead, and it's called mock right here from MOQ. And the one I'm going to try and instantiate is going to be the iProductService right here. And then the final thing you need to do is just call object to kind of get that iProductService out of your system. So again, now this is actually going to be an object of this interface right here. I know that's crazy to understand in the beginning, but in our case, let's just keep it simple this lesson. What it kind of forces me into do right here is to kind of create this interface right here, because if I don't have the interface, this is going to fail and not compile. So let's just add the interface now, like this, and next lesson we'll dive more into actually using this interface with the mock framework. There we go. So now notice I have an interface, and just like last time, I'm not quite satisfied yet. First of all, I want to make this into a var like this, and another thing, I want to move this. Let's actually run the unit test before we do it, right? And let's just say first test is going to be assert, not null, just to kind of make the first simple test service. There we go. And let's just try and run the unit test to make sure everything is running now. Run unit tests. And yes, your test library is going to grow, or the amount of tests you have is going to grow. And that's the goal with this. We want a lot of tests to make sure our code is okay. Next, what I want to do is I want to refactor this and move it, of course, because it shouldn't be here. I'll move it to another folder. And actually, let's start by going to, again, we'll move to the core folder, get rid of the test solution right here. And I actually want to try and move it directly into my new folder called services. And actually, let's call it iServices to explain that it's interface. Let's see if it actually figures out it doesn't exist, so it'll create that folder for me. Let's try and move it, see what happens. I'll say add to Git. And if I go back to my Explorer up here, you'll see hopefully that now I have that folder in here under iService. That's good. So now it's moved. And actually also you'll see that I start using that interface right here in my code. Happy days. So that's all I had to do. Now we know that the product service interface is actually available and it's actually put up here. It's even public, or else I wouldn't be able to run this test. So I'm a happy guy. First of all, let's just try for the fun of it and say this was private for some reason. And you'll notice the test will fail. Let's say somebody came and said, oh my God, that's the reason it's private. We should make it protected because it should only be available for this package. Well, again, the test will fail. So again, there's a lot of things, even though you might not consider it, that you already got yourself again. But let's just end the lesson right here. And next lesson, we're going to try and add our first method in the product service. See you next time. Bye.